Well, let's turn to Libya now, where many of those migrants set off for Europe. Fighting has intensified in the past 6 weeks since a renegade field marshal, Khalifa Haftar, launched an offensive to try to seize the capital, Tripoli. Hundreds of people have been killed and migrants in detention centres have been trapped in the middle of the clashes. Well, I'm joined now by our correspondent, Annalise Borges in Tripoli. Good morning to you, Annalise. So, Annalise, the intensifying conflict there has made the dire situation for migrants in Libya even worse.
Indeed, Janet. Well, Libya has been a gateway to Europe for many years now for refugees and migrants hoping to escape war and crippling poverty. And as per a deal signed back in 2017 between the EU and Libya, everyone caught entering Libya illegally or intercepted at sea trying to cross the Mediterranean is placed in detention. Prisons where men, women and children languish, where they lack virtually everything from food and water to medical supplies and psychological support. And according to humanitarian agencies here on the ground, they can face every kind of abuse, from forced labor to gender-based violence and even sexual assault. I took a few questions about this topic to the authority responsible for the Department for Combating Illegal Migration here in Libya, the Interior Minister. I asked Fatih Bashaga about the role Libya has been playing in enforcing European migration policy. I asked him about interceptions at sea. I asked him about indefinite detentions and about the conditions, the dire conditions these migrants and refugees live under inside detention centers. He said, well, Libya has many problems, and the task Europe has given this country is massive, perhaps too big for a country that has known nothing but chaos over the past 8 years.
I once described Libya as a sick doctor that is being asked to treat patients because Libya has internal problems. Since the state fell apart, Libya hasn't been able to provide adequate services, even for Libyans. And the EU demands Libya secures the coast, fights human trafficking, cares and pays for illegal migrants in accordance with international standards. You know, Libya has many other problems: service problems, security problems, terrorism problems, economic problems.
So Libya has enough problems as it is, and if Europe is not happy with the work it is doing with migration, well, it should take over and do it itself.
So, Annalise, just to pick up on what you were talking about earlier, what's the latest on the offensive launched 6 weeks ago by a Libyan militia leader, Khalifa Haftar, to seize control of Tripoli? That has stalled. What is happening now?
Well, Janet, rivaling militias are currently fighting in the outskirts of Tripoli, some 15 kilometers from where I'm standing right now, and we're getting unofficial reports of fierce battles and a high number of casualties in both sides. I went to the front briefly yesterday and I heard non-stop shelling. We're entering the sixth week of this offensive right now, the seventh week of this offensive right now, and there's no sign, at least for the moment, of either warring party being ready to abide by the EU and the UN's plea for an immediate ceasefire. For now, one side says, the Government of National Accord says they are ready for a massive military offensive after acquiring new weaponry, and Khalifa Haftar is calling on a revolt here in Tripoli. He's calling on militias here in Tripoli to join his side. So for the moment, at least, there is no end in sight for this crisis, and there are fears of a full-blown war in Libya once again.
Annalise Borges with the very latest in Libya. Thank you very much for that.